Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. You know, Eddie, it's been 25 years since Oklahoma State played back-to-back games against the same opponent in the regular season. I know nobody was happy with the format this year. It came out fine except for one thing. Cowboy roster took another big hit.
Well, I like the results. You know, we defeated Texas A&M by 2 points last Saturday down in College Station, and came back in midweek and beat them in Stillwater by 72-55. But we did lose another one of our soldiers, one of our seniors, Maurice Robinson, went down with a broken hand. So now we're down to 7 scholarship players. And you can see, I think that describes it all. He's seated there by Alex Weber, a young man that had surgery on his back earlier this season. But Maurice, it was kind of a freakish accident, and he will have had surgery by the time this show was aired, and they'll have to put 2 or 3 pins in his hand. So he's definitely lost for the season.
You know, you called it a Band-Aid approach the rest of the way, and when you go down the litany of injuries we've had this year, it is indeed head to the Band-Aids and put it on somehow so we can finish it out.
You know, I think this is my 28th year in coaching Division I basketball, and I don't believe you could put all of those 27 years before this year together, and we would have had as many injuries. And when I say injuries, it actually ends your career for that particular year. So it's been a very frustrating year, but the thing that I've been most pleased with is the attitude of the players that are remaining on our squad. You know, they still think they can win, and the other night I looked out there and we're playing Texas A&M, which is a very big ball club, and we got Keontae Roberts at about 6'5", playing the center position. We got a couple of guys 6'3", playing the forwards, and a couple of 6'1" guards. And we did something that we very seldom ever do. We played zone for almost 20 minutes in the second half, but I thought they played quite well.
We're going to talk about that as the show goes on. Zone an entire half under Eddie Sutton. That is a rarity indeed. As mentioned now, the Cowboys made it a clean sweep of the Aggies. We have all the highlights coming up when the Eddie Sutton Show continues in a moment. Well, we tell you every week, you never know who's going to show up on this show, and there's the president of the university right there. There's good hands, too.
A very good president and a very strong supporter of intercollegiate athletics.
Well, we mentioned the 2-game set opened down at College Station, and that trip into G. Raleigh White certainly had to bring back memories for you.
Well, it certainly did, because the 11 years I coached the Razorbacks, we had some fierce battles down there in G. Raleigh White. It's kind of an arena that's a little unusual. It's very tough when that place is packed. It's a hard place to win.
This hurts to see those putbacks by Mo, but you have to watch it anyway.
Well, we jumped out in this ballgame early, and I think we had a 10-3 lead, and played very well. Then we put it in low gear there for a while, and then it was just back and forth the rest of the ballgame. Finally, in the second half, we got out on them, I think, in double figures, and let that melt away, and had to come up with a trick shot by Adrian Peterson, a special scoring play to win the ball game for us. I thought both teams, both teams are struggling. Both teams have a hard time scoring at times. But the one thing that I admire in Tony Barone and his coaching staff, they're a very young basketball team. I think with the addition of a couple more players, they're certainly going to be very good the next couple of years. But the one thing that I always have great admiration for anybody who gets a ball club to play hard all the time. And here's a ball club that's got a losing record, and yet they really competed hard against us in both contests.
Did you think at the outset that we were probably as active as we'd been in a while from the opening gun?
I thought the first few minutes when we jumped out, and then I think Keontae missed an easy shot and kind of broke the momentum, but we were active. And we've had a tendency all year, though, to play in spurts. And the thing you always try to do is when you have momentum is to extend it. When you have a period where you're playing poorly is to curtail it as quickly as you can. And but in this ball game, we hung in there. And Marlon Dorsey, there he is on a great drive to the basket. I thought he started off slow. He was one of the few players that didn't play well early, but he came on in that second half. He had some big trades for us when they went to zone.
Keontae had a rough day down there, probably the worst from the field he's had since he was a freshman.
Well, he was 1 for 10. And he's leading the Big 12 in field goal percentage. He came back in the second game, though, and I think what was he, 8 for 9 or something like that?
5 for 6 from the field, had 18
8 out of 9 at the free throw line, but had a great game up here. There's Marlon Dorsey stepping up. Marlon's one of our 2 remaining seniors, he and Keontae, so they're going to have to exert a lot of leadership with this ball club the rest of the way.
You decided to start Marlon that game.
Well, we judge who should start and how you practice, and I thought that he had some very good practice sessions prior to this, and he did respond in a very good ball game for us. That's Chad Alexander, who's had shooting problems, but there he knocks one down. Chad, I thought in the second game, which we're going to look at some highlights in a few minutes, I thought he was much more active.
Well, during that run when we opened up that...
that is the only basket that Keontae scored.
I know it.
All day long.
Hey, look at him shaking his
and
head.
I kept taking him. I said, what is wrong with you? He said, Coach, I don't know. I said, I wish you'd find out.
During that 14-2 run when we went up by 11, and again, you see another three by Marlon right there, we played well on both ends of the court, really complemented the offense and the defense.
A lot of times what will happen when you get a double-figure lead like we had, and there's 5 minutes to go in a ball game, instead of continuing to play, you kind of put it in delay game, and you don't want to do that. And I think Texas A&M could sense that, and they became more aggressive. They hit some big shots, and all of a sudden, instead of being ahead, we're 1 point down, and then Pete hit the shot, and then this is right at the end of the ball game where I thought our defense was very good. We forced them into a very marginal shot, and we win the ball game 62-60. In this particular game, we have out-rebounded most of the people this year. Now, that may not be the case from now on with the short squad that we're going to be playing, but in this ball game, they beat us 40-29, had 15 offensive rebounds, came back in the second game. We're playing a much shorter ball club. We out-rebound them, I think, 47-28, and they only got 14 offensive boards. So a lot of times rebounding, and I told our squad before we played Texas A&M the second time, the biggest key will be rebounding, and I thought our players really did a good job from that standpoint.
Yeah, a complete reversal there on the glass. Again, 5 days later, A&M is back here in Stillwater for the first time since 1949. I think that was the year that you broke in as a freshman, and you didn't play that game. I know, you didn't play.
There you see our fine athletic director, Terry Don Phillips, giving Keontae Roberts a plaque presented by the school for being, I think, the 19th player to score at least 1,000 points
in a career, right.
There's Keontae. He went to work early. We got him the ball. We ran a special scoring play to start the ball game, and he scored. And there's Maurice Robinson. He played 11 minutes in this ball game. I think he had 5 points and 4 rebounds. And before we had to take him out, and as soon as we took him out, Steve York, our trainer, told me, said he's broke his hand.
Great block, huh?
Great block by Keontae.
You mentioned Keontae. You wanted to get him off the blocks early. You wanted to get him involved early, as you said, that special scoring play first right out of the bat.
It's Joe Atkins feeding Adrian Peterson on another special scoring play, and Pete hit a tray. Peterson's really been playing well. Great pass there from Atkins to Keontae. Let's take another look at it. They were playing zone at the time, and Keontae was able to sneak down the baseline from behind the defender.
Actually, they were in that box and one at the time, and really did not have anything on the weak side, and Keontae burned them there.
Two freshmen, Atkins and Mason, both stepped up in this game, and I thought played much better. They're getting where they're a little more relaxed. There's Brett Robish, who did not have a good afternoon, and he hit that basket, but he didn't play like he's been playing. He's going to have to play a little better the rest of the year.
Brett had a horrible day.
There's Desmond Mason hitting the tray. I think he'd missed 3 shots in a row at that point, so sigh of relief when that one went down.
Especially for him. Now a little offense off the defense.
We haven't gotten as many points off our defense this year as in past seasons. That was a nice pass by Dorsey off to Alexander, and he hit a tray.
Well, it's still a fairly tight ball game here.
Chad, this is just before, no, I was going to say just before halftime, but
watch this move here.
This is Atkins driving down the baseline. Nice move.
You'll see it again. A good first step by Joe.
That's the kind of moves I used to make when I played.
You know,
believe that?
No. Cowboys up by 3 at halftime.
I could not. I tell you what, we were talking about that the other day. I think you can take players today. I mean, in my period, and there were some great players like Will Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor and Oscar Robertson and Jerry West, people like that, and they could play at any time, still be great players today. But I think today, with the quickness that you see in athletics, a lot of us would have had a real difficult time playing today.
Yeah, but you would have been a great three-point shooter, though.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I could have covered anybody with all the quickness we see on the floor. There's a play that we set up to get a shot, and the basket counted, but they called a foul on Desmond on an illegal screen.
Well, it's still tight. Cowboys have yet to make that run, but went on a nice 14-0 run to open up some breathing room right about here.
I'm not sure Keone didn't get away with a foul right there. He kind of cleared that guy out.
I made mention of that. He was holding his breath right there. You guys look a little intent right there.
Hey, right now we're fighting for every possession is a war in itself, because we just great fan support by our students this year. I thought the crowd was not quite as active as we've seen it at times, but they certainly have played the part of the sixth man.
Keone downplayed this, but in your opinion, it seemed like, and what a great move you see here by Roberts, but when it got to the point where we were Mo was out, we're getting down as far as manpower in terms of foul, it appeared to me that Keone kind of stepped it up and carried a little bit of the load more than he has.
Bill Connors, who is the fine sports writer for the Tulsa World, he and I were talking after the game, and he said the very same thing, and I would agree with both of you. When it looked like that Robies was in foul trouble, Robinson was gone, there's a good defensive play by Marlon Dorsey, kicks the ball forward to Peterson, that Keontae, you could almost sense that I've got to carry this ball club, and he did. And had a remarkable game, a double-double.
That's correct.
18 points, 11 rebounds, most rebounds he's ever gotten in a game for Oklahoma State.
Well, again, he downplayed that. It's not his style, and the Cowboys are now going to burn him from the free throw line.
The other thing we did well in this ball game, other than play very good zone defense in the second half and rebound, as I mentioned, we were able to hit our free throws. We got the ball in position, the scores, and A&M had to foul us, and I think we were, 28 out of 33.
That's 26 out of 33.
26 out of 33. But that's the most free throws I think we've shot all season, and we shot them well. And that can snowball on you too. If you they start fouling and you miss, then all of a sudden it's contagious. And we got a taste of that last year when we were such a poor free throw shooting ball club. One guy misses, next guy misses, and then you're almost afraid to go to the line.
And as you mentioned, 47 to 28 edge there on the boards, and that was a reversal from game one. So the Cowboys sweep the Aggies and put 2 wins on the board. We'll talk about what's coming up next in just a bit. But at first glance, it would appear that this is just another case of a woman working in a male-dominated field. But that is not the case at all. We're going to explain when we return to the Eddie Sutton Show. Welcome back. Her name is Denise Hawkins. She's a junior from Broken Arrow, and I know you've seen her behind the bench all season long. She's a very interesting young lady, and this week you're going to meet her on our off-the-court feature. She's a young lady who is gaining valuable experience outside the classroom.
Well, Denise does an excellent job for us. She's shown a lot of professionalism in her 3 years at Oklahoma State University. She's progressed very nicely in her knowledge level over the last 3 years, and she's been able to do everything that we've asked of her so far.
From your perspective, did you have any uneasy feelings about the fact that a woman was going to work with men's basketball?
Not knowing that it was going to be Denise. Like I said, this is her 3rd year in the program, so I've had the ability to work with her the last 2 years. I've seen how she can handle herself in different situations, and I really didn't feel that there would be a problem with her this year.
Denise, this has to be valuable experience, I would think, for somebody trying to get into sports medicine.
Yes, definitely it is. It's kind of, it's different working with men, but it's definitely valuable.
You mentioned the fact that you're working with men. I think the perception out there is this is a female working in a male-dominated field, but that's not necessarily the case anymore.
No, definitely not. It is said that we've kind of invaded the locker room, that type of thing, but definitely not the way women's athletics have picked up. It's definitely becoming more equal, I think. There is the instances where you feel uncomfortable, but I think it's getting better and better to where it's becoming more equal. It's not just the man's field anymore. I think everyone on the team that I've worked with definitely shows some respect. They realize that I am a lady other than just one of the guys in the locker room, and they kind of watch themselves when they're around me. I can definitely tell. I was really scared. I didn't know how I would act, how I would feel. There was definitely times that I felt uncomfortable. For instance, the first meeting we had in the locker room, I wasn't sure if I could go in, that type of thing. You always don't know your boundaries and where you can step and where you can't.
Do you pick up as well that perhaps the fellows are a little bit more on their P's and Q's when she's around?
Well, I think that she sets the situation up to be that way. She handles it in a professional manner, and so they handle it in a professional manner also. But a lot of that is due to the way she conducts herself around there.
She indicated to us that that you give her a great deal of responsibility, even though she's a student trainer. You give her a lot of responsibility on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I think you can get all the knowledge you want from books, and it helps to have a book knowledge, but hands-on experience is key. And to be able to apply the knowledge that you learn from the classroom in a situation is very important. And like I said, she's been able to demonstrate that she can handle that. And so the more that she shows me that she can do it, the more I want to be able to allow her to do.
My work comes in before and after practice. There is work during practice, but that's basically watching. Before practice, I come in and get the water set up, get practice, like as far as like taping and everything, make sure everything's ready to go, the kit's prepared, and then the athletes come in and we tape them before practice, and then get the court set up. And then after or during practice, we watch and take care of the injuries and water, keep it up during the whole practice, and then afterwards you give your treatments and evaluations and that type of thing.
And that's not unlike any of the duties that Steve York has.
No, it's not, I don't feel like, Steve kind of lets me work on a scale with him. I don't feel like I'm just the lonely student that just has to do water. He lets me step up and do evaluations and just jump right in the game with him.
Finally, how do you mesh this job for 3, 4, 5 hours in the afternoon, every afternoon, game time, with the fact that you still are a student?
That's one thing basketball, in fact, has taught me, is how to budget my time. Basketball is the sport known as for its dedication. You've got to be dedicated because it's such a long season. Basically, you just have to get to the grindstone and do it. You have to just balance your time, be here and there. You got to have a planner.
You know, I think oftentimes, Tom, people in the training corps aren't given enough credit. You know, they're the ones that really get our athletes prepared to go to practice or for games, and then when they're injured, they take care of them. And we're very fortunate to have a great trainer in Steve, and also Denise. She has really matured and grown this year. I've seen, and our players they do treat her with a lot of respect because they know she's good, and she's just a wonderful young lady and a great asset to our program.
Good people, no question about that. Now, the Notebook, Bedlam, Round 2, both are coming up when the Eddie Sutton Show continues after these messages. Welcome back. Eddie, let's hit this week's Notebook. A lot of talk this week about the 4 in a row, having to win possibly 4 in a row in Kansas City at the Big 12 tournament, fatigue, all that. What's your opinion?
I think it'll be very difficult for a team to go in there and win 4 games against the competition we have in this conference, but it's going to be a great tourney because that first day there's going to be 4 great games, and the next day same thing. So anybody that has a ticket, they're going to have a lot of fun watching college basketball. Once again, coaches, college basketball coaches leading the fight against cancer. This is an important project. The coaches have raised several $1 million for cancer research. I would encourage all of our fans to make a pledge. Every time we hit a tray, whether it's a nickel, a dime, 50 cents, $1, if you'll participate, all this money goes to a great cause. Never too early to talk about summer basketball camps. Well, I think that's one of the highlights of the year as far as I'm concerned, because I like working with young people, and here they are, the mini camp, June 9th through 13th, individual camp 15th through the 19th. If you're interested, call our office. We'll send you a brochure, and we'll talk more about that in later show. Okay, Cowboys, Sooners, Saturday afternoon in Norman. Nothing more need be said. Well, they call it the Bedlam Series, and I can remember as a player what a special game it always was when we played the University of Oklahoma. I think it's always been that way, regardless whether it's basketball, wrestling, baseball, football. And we were very fortunate to beat them in overtime in the first game in Stillwater. Saturday afternoon, I know that it'll be another great tussle. And you know, a lot of people don't know you were a former high school coach, and you've given me some great ideas. We may come up with a freak defense down there to try to slow Erdman and his teammates down Saturday afternoon. You can be sure if it works, I'll take credit for it. Cowboys in Norman on Saturday, on the road again in Lincoln the next Wednesday, back home the March the 1st against Iowa State. For Eddie Sutton, I'm Tom Dirato. See you next week.